Friends, I cannot believe, shout out to my library because I am able to review this out-of-print manga that I have been strongly encouraged, recommended to read for a long time, and today I'm doing a video review on it. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. I really hope that you're enjoying my event thus far, featuring a bunch of manga from this magazine that the manga I'm going to be reviewing all 17 volumes of, which feels so surreal because as I left reviews of these individually for each volume on Goodreads, I could not believe them secondhand prices. Some of these volumes are like $300 a pop. I'm like, so again, shout out to my library, but that manga that I'm talking about is Love Come. Oh my goodness, y'all. Oh my goodness. I know I said shout out to my library, but I have to give a huge shout out to my friend Jenna, the artist librarian on Instagram. I remember several years ago, she recommended this to me. I think she was reading at the time and she's like, hey, I really think that you would enjoy this. At that time, I'm pretty confident that I went to put a hold in at my library, but I didn't for some reason. You know, several years later, now here we are. I'm officially reading it because I don't remember what it was. I think I was going through my pin collection because I've not shared about it on here, but I know I've shared on Instagram. I have a pin rule. I cannot buy enamel pins of characters from manga or anime I have not watched or have not seen. But, and I can't remember who the pin maker is because she's not around anymore. I got Love Com pins of Risa and Ōtani, and oh my goodness, I love them. They're diamonds, I think is what they're part of. And I remember I pre-ordered this on a whim because I remember Jenna gushing about it and I was like, you know, I'm gonna get it. Recently, I've been going through my pin collection and sort of downsizing a little bit. Just a little bit, and I came to these pins, and I was like, I haven't read them. I don't know who these characters are. I was like, I probably should get rid of it. And I said, no, let's make it a goal for 2026 that we are going to read Love Com. I loved it. To every person who said I would love it, you are 100% correct, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. If you're not familiar with this series, because I'll be honest, even though I know it has an anime, and I have seen when like people share about Love Com, that there's several people who are like, man, I love that series. I didn't know anything about it except for Risa here is the tallest girl in her class, and Ōtani is the shortest guy in his class. And somehow these two end up in the same class, all 3 years of high school, by the way. But in the beginning, they find themselves, I don't even know the nickname their teacher gave them, but they become this comedy duo that everybody in their class loves, and they're shipping together. They think they're dating because they argue all the time. And the thing is, things are not going well for them when it comes to romance, so they sort of decide to help one another to get rid of these rumors that they are dating because they're like, absolutely not. And so as they're helping each other to date other people, because they also do, I think it's a deal of whoever gets a girlfriend or boyfriend first, they have to do anything or whatever the other person says. And so that puts a fire under both of them, as Risa does end up liking this one guy, but things sort of get complicated because he ends up liking one of her best friends. And even more complicated is that Risa starts having feelings for Ōtani, and so begins this hilarious romance. Oh my goodness, this is so much a series that you just can't take seriously. There's definitely a few parts where they are more serious than others, but ultimately these two, they are not the brightest crayons in the box, and you just never know what to expect. I feel like the only time there were two characters, I will be honest, I did not like, and that was Mimi and Gramps. I did not like either one of them. I think my lowest reviews and my ratings that I gave on Goodreads is when it involved those two characters specifically, because I just did not like how they treated Risa or their actions. I mean, granted, I came around a little bit with Mimi just because of how she was instrumental in helping Risa in her realizing what she wants to do with her life, but that's as far as it goes, okay? So otherwise, I love the entire cast of characters. That brings me to what I was trying to say. It's just when I didn't take it seriously and just enjoyed the ride, because you never knew what to expect at any given point when you think, okay, like, all right, yes, they're together, things are gonna be smooth sailing. No, we have something, like there were times where, yes, there are interlopers, and I found that I never hated any of them, except for Mimi. Well, I wouldn't say hate, just really disliked. But all of the guys, I had no issues with. I never expected just certain things to happen. I want to say one of them that happens near the later volumes, where Ōtani, he's just, as Risa realizes, he's kind to girls, and sometimes that can lead to girls genuinely liking him, and Risa gets jealous, rightfully so, but Ōtani just doesn't quite get it, and for being as cool and as smart as he is, he's, I don't know if naive is the right word, he's oblivious. Very oblivious at times. I don't even know where to start with this series. It was truly a wonderful reading experience, and man, I genuinely miss, because when I was reading this, it's in the same magazine as High School Debut, My Love Story, Kimi ni Todoke. These are all longer series where we get to follow, well, not High School Debut, but we get to, at least in Kimi ni Todoke, we're following Sawako and Kasehaya from the beginning of high school all the way to the end. Even with My Love Story and Kimi ni Todoke, we do have a spin-off series or a spin-off volume centering around them in college. And I guess you could technically say in High School Debut, if you have the omnibus in the 2 volumes, the last 2, you do see how Haruka is leading up. I think it's her name. I hope I'm remembering her name right. But you do see her leading up to, that's going to bother me that I can't remember. No, it's Haruna. Haruka is in this. So Haruna, excuse me, from High School Debut, the female lead, you can see her trying to get into college with Yo. I love all 3 of those series. Lovecom is now added, and it just made me miss this. Maybe we have it now in modern manga, but I feel like not just in shoujo specifically, but across the board, except for maybe like action shonen, but even then I hear several action shonen readers say things are just getting axed and cut early, and we definitely see this in shoujo manga. Unfortunately, it feels like a lot, especially like with sports shoujo series. Like I think of the manga Yell Girl, which a lot of people were excited for, and it's only going to be 3 volumes. There's another series that was really popular. Was it Yamada's Class Diary? Got cut at 4 volumes, and there's another one as well that got cut, I think, at 3. So that leads me to say, I really love how we have these series where we were genuinely able to be on this adventure with these characters, with these leads, and follow them from the very beginning of high school. It was such a special reading experience, and I feel like it just gave me this longing of, I wish there were more newer manga that are not hard to find or out of print that follow this same, not formula, but this same kind of reading pattern, or not sure how you would say that, because I just truly feel we're not getting that quite the same way that we have in years past, and it really made me long for those days, which is very weird for me to say because I'm not a manga reader who's been in a manga for like 10 plus years, been around since the time of Tokyo Pop. No, I've only been, I mean, on this channel I have a 5-year anniversary celebrating where I actively knew that, hey, this is the beginning of my manga tube channel, and I was starting to get into manga right before that time. So we could just say roughly 5 years I've been into manga. So I feel like I'm still pretty new. There's a lot of classic manga. There's a lot of iconic manga that I haven't read, and I understand a little bit more of why people feel that some of these older shoujo series, like Lovecom, for example, have something special that the newer manga series don't have. And that's not knocking new gen shoujo, okay? I'm all here for couples getting together really early and us focusing on them and having all the shoujo fluff. I'm 100% here for that, okay? That is my cup of tea. But it just opened up this new horizon for me, or these new doors where I really didn't realize how much I was missing, and truly just have a new thankfulness for series like Lovecom and Kimi ni Todoke, where I was able to be part of these characters and see the highs and see the lows, because man, Risa's journey was pretty incredible, honestly. I am genuinely amazed, as I love how Ōtani at the very end says, like, hey, thank you for hanging in there because we've had so much fun. Because Risa makes the comment of, I'm glad that I hung in there all this time and pursued you, because what made this romance, I feel, very special and unique outside of the whole series itself is it truly shows how you could have 2 characters who start off, in their case, as a comedy duo. I mean, everybody says, hey, they should get together, they should hook up, but for them, they're like, obviously, never. I'm too tall, he's too short, vice versa, and there's like a list of why things can never work out between them. But to Risa's surprise, she genuinely starts falling in love with him, and you see how they have a lot of similarities. Yes, they argue and fight a lot, but I definitely think of the rapper that they both absolutely love. I wish I could hear him. I hope he's in the anime, because I genuinely want to watch the anime after this, because I'm not ready to say goodbye to these characters and return the library copies back to the library review so that, you know, somebody else could check it out, but I'm still really attached. But that was sort of the thing is, yes, they're great friends. They have a lot in common. When Risa confesses, not just one time, but a few times, I mean, Ōtani turns her down and he's like, I just don't see you like that. And so I really love how this wasn't a traditional romance for me in the sense of, you know, there's no love triangle in the beginning. So it's not like Risa has been turned down from the guy she likes and there's a guy on the sidelines she could go to instead. Like there was none of that. And then they're having that all the drama that it would entail where they still have feelings for the character, but they're still thinking, want to be with this character. There's none of that. I mean, Risa, really, we see her get down in the dumps. Shout out to her BFFs though. We will talk about those characters because I want to gush about them. But she really, I mean, two of them, but especially Nobu, really lifts up Risa, gives her, I saw some reviewers say that they feel Nobu just needs to sort of mind her own business. And I do feel there's times where she can be very harsh, but I do feel that she really cares for Risa. And you can see that the more that you read of the series. But I could see that being sort of like, a girl needs to get away from Risa. But I didn't feel that way. I really like Nobu's character. But I think if it wasn't for Nobu, I do feel that Risa would have given up. And so I'm glad that she, again, hung in there. And we got to see her where she's like, man, I want Ōtani just, you know, things to go back how they were. And then she's like, no, I want him to remember my feelings, because I love who the catalyst was. The moment where Risa's like, okay, things could change. And I'm hoping that I remember. I want to talk about some of my favorite panels later because I feel like it will really show how funny this manga is, because there are some over the top things that are said where, like, I forgot one of the scenes that comes to mind is where Risa's like, I guess I could not be pickled radish or something and turn it to another food. And so the catalyst for her to really pick herself back up was an awesome moment, and glad that Risa gave her all, and how we got to see Ōtani's feelings start to progress and change for Risa. It was a very fun exploration, I guess you would say, or just fun adventure to see how that changes. So that brings me to say, to wrap all that up, is I love how it was just two friends getting to start viewing each other differently and have this really fun and enjoyable romance. And Ōtani, you know, he be having some moments, I'll be honest, where I'm like, bruh, you need to read the writing on the wall kind of thing. Like, come on, like, how could you be this oblivious, my man? Then he gets really embarrassed, and there were times where I'm like, Ōtani, don't talk to Risa like this. But I love when it comes to the character growth. I mean, I know Risa felt that at the end that she felt everybody changed but her, but I would say it was her unchangingness that really made her character very amazing to me. And that's why I got mad when characters were mean to her and would talk down to her, because I'm like, no, or do mean things like Gramps did. Like, absolutely not. I mean, you see from the very start that Risa, she's willing to put her feelings aside to help her best friend be with the guy she likes because her best friend likes them too. And there's numerous times, like even when things are sort of underway between Risa and Ōtani and them forming a romance, that somebody's like, hey, I actually like him, I'm gonna take him from you. Even when they do start dating as well, Risa's like, okay, encouraging them not to take him from her necessarily, but she's still encouraging them to give it their all. And she does this at numerous points in the manga. She has such a huge heart for her friends. And even if she's not the brightest character there is, I think she's a very big heart. And so I loved how that part of her character never changed. She still gave her all. She still was so supportive. And I do think she naturally changed in the sense that she did mature. But I love that about her character. On the flip side, with Ōtani, I love seeing him grow, where we see him a little bit more vocal about his feelings for Risa, because he is very much keeping those feelings to himself, or just when it's him and Risa, and not being very vocal and getting very quickly and easily embarrassed. And so I love, like, near the end where he realizes he messed up. And maybe in the past, Ōtani would have not necessarily done anything to change. You see him take instant action by the end. And so I really love slowly seeing him progress and change as a character as well. I mean, all of the characters change in some kind of way, but I really appreciated the character growth we got and the steadiness of Risa's character, because they were both very wonderful and made this manga as special as it is, in my opinion. And I will say too, another thing that stood out to me that I really appreciated and thought was very interesting is Risa is a character who really didn't know what she wanted to do. And I love that. I feel a lot of times in the shoujo manga I've read, these characters typically have an idea of what they want to be. Maybe it's a wife, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's something else, but they have a pretty set, firm idea of what they want to do when they get out of high school. But with Risa, she did not have that. And while that was not me in high school and I knew what I wanted to do, like when I graduated and what college I would go to, I really loved and treasured that part of this manga because I thought it was so important to show other people. And this is once again another manga too that I wish I could have read in high school, because one of the things that I did relate to, I won't go in depth about because due to spoilers, but things with Nobu and the changes that she makes was very relatable to me because I went to college for a year and then I got married after I graduated. And there were things after that that were not part of my original timeline or my game plan. And so I appreciate how all of these characters in this cast, that each one had some kind of hurdle to overcome or think about that felt very realistic. I mean, with poor Suzuki, one of the side characters, what he got roped into thanks to Ōtani, that was outlandish, but it was very funny and I really liked that part, but I felt bad for Suzuki. I really did. Poor man didn't deserve that, but they each struggled. They had something happen that was, again, not a part of the original plan, what they were going to be doing. And so I think, especially if you're a high schooler reading this, I think there's a deep relatability there, especially for the person who's like, I don't know what I want to do. I haven't given it a lot of thought because I'm sort of just winging it. It was nice to see that kind of representation in manga, and it stood out to me because I feel like oftentimes I don't see that kind of representation or that kind of real life thought or process happening in fictional manga. It was cool, y'all. It was cool. I am unsure of what to talk about next, but I will say this is one of my favorite characters. Yes, one of my favorite covers. I mean, I love this cover of Risa so much. She just looks so cute and so cool, and I just love it. I could honestly just save this and like bookmark it or frame it, maybe not in my house, but definitely keep it digitally because of how cute and fun I think it is. Maybe, yeah, cute would be the right word because I love how her hat is and how her hair is, and I thought it very fun of the job that she wants to end up pursuing. I think it did fit her, even though I didn't see it until another character pointed it out to me. And I guess since I have talked a lot about Risa and Ōtani, let's talk about some of those side characters. I'm gonna start with ladies first though, and I've got to get everybody's name up because I'm like, I know who these characters are, but I'm like, I cannot remember their names. We'll start off with Nobu because she's the ultimate BFF for Risa and really love so many moments with them. Some of the funniest things said in this manga are from her, especially the conversation where she's telling Risa, you need to go flaunt your inner boobs to Ōtani, and she's like, I can't be topless. She's like, no, I'm talking about inside, okay, where you have that kind of confidence to go do that. She was such a wonderful friend. Yes, there's times where she's very critical and sometimes I feel like almost cruel to Risa, but I do think she had Risa's best interests in mind and could see ultimately what Risa was longing for and was the one character willing to go out of her way and do whatever she could for Risa's happiness, even if it wasn't the same way when Nobu's struggling with things, when she finds out things later on, that Risa's like, I don't know what to say, but she's like, Nobu has been there for me every single part of my high school experience since they've known each other. She's helped me through the good times and through the bad times, and she says, now I want to encourage her, and she's like, I don't know what to do, and she figured out what she could do, and it was very different from the advice Nobu would have given Risa, but it was so perfect, and I felt like it showed such a beautiful part of their friendship. I really enjoyed seeing Nobu in the side stories we got because technically this series wraps up at volume 16, and 17 is just short stories. Really enjoyed those. I was very nervous because I thought the ending of volume 16 was great, but volume 17 honestly was perfection. It gave me that closure that I felt I needed, and I was very thankful to see Nobu's character, to get sort of a little bit of an update about her, but also how the creator brought it back to things in the beginning. I really liked it. And this is Chiharu, I believe is her name. Oh my goodness, I feel like one of the biggest twists in this manga centered around Risa's friend, truthfully, because she's very quiet in the beginning. This is the friend that Risa wants to help concerning the guy that she likes at first, and I really was surprised when considering how quiet she is, how reserved, how shy, how nervous she gets, of when much later on when there is this twist that happens, of how I'm like, do we even know who the real girl is? Because it was so different of how she has acted for pretty much the entire manga. But I liked her on page. I enjoyed seeing her have a happy ending and how she matured as well, because you could definitely tell that things after that twist that she did calm down. And so I did appreciate that. And these are the guys over here. This here is Nobu's boyfriend, Nakao, and he was a fun character. I liked his relationship with Ōtani a lot. He was so enjoyable and just, he compliments him so well. I know Ōtani may not feel that way, but I did like how, especially too, when we see the backstory, absolutely love that, and how their friendship has flourished. He does remind me of how Nobu is for Risa, except for he doesn't give this really harsh advice, but he will totally go along with Nobu and whatever she's saying that Ōtani needs to be doing, that Risa needs to be doing, and really loved how he treasured Nobu just so much. And there was a very funny twist with him later on, which was also very sad once you get like the full part or full arc of that. But I admired just how he was trying. I didn't really agree with all of the things of him trying the way he was, but he was a very great character. And Suzuki-kun, I liked him. I liked him from the start. He's just a little cutie. He's just a little cutie. And I loved how he really, when you see, oh my goodness, I couldn't stand the way his family treated him. Absolutely hated that so incredibly much. Like, oof. Just hits the trigger. But when you see him rise up and you see him genuinely smile, it was everything, friends. It was everything. It was a very, very, very wonderful moment, and absolutely love that. So I like the guys as well. I just feel like we had more time with the girls. And I will say, I loved how so often in the beginning of this manga that Risa and her friends were always going out. They were going out to like just get drinks or something like that, okay? Because they don't have like a bunch of money. But I really loved how so many times, yes, it's a romantic series, but there are strong threads of friendship, and you see it with these girls so strongly in how they're getting advice from each other, they're asking for advice, they're encouraging and uplifting one another. It was really fantastic. Like, that was another thing that really stood out in my mind, because I really came into this manga thinking it's just going to be a romance and focus only on that, but no, it focuses on the friendship as well, and that was a really another awesome, amazing part that I definitely deeply enjoyed. I'm not going to talk much about her, but there is Mimi, who is very cute, and I do like this cover as well, but she needs to be nicer to Risa. She needed to be 10 times nicer to Risa. Oh my goodness, Haruka. So I don't know how much I could say about his character, but even though he is basically the interloper from start to finish, I loved his character. There was never a moment that I hated him. I felt bad for him more often than not. The more the series continued with shenanigans involving him, I did feel really bad, but I was very thankful that the creator gave him a happy ending in my eyes. Like, I was really, really thankful for that, because that was one thing that even I'm like, okay, Haruka, I'm sorry, I can't ship you with Risa, but I do think you're a great guy, and I do like how Ōtani put him in his place. For one thing that he said of why he wanted to be with Risa, like, absolutely not, bruh. Thank you, Ōtani, for speaking the truth to him. But I did like how we got some character growth with him as the manga went on, and how, again, he just had a happy ending, because I would have been so sad. He was a very fun character. I'm thankful that we got to meet him and that we got to know him. This character here, Kahori, he's so great. He is so great. I'm glad he had a happy ending as well. That was something I didn't realize I needed until the creator gave it to us, because he was such a sweetheart, and I really loved how he just wanted Risa to be happy. And it's very weird seeing Ōtani with black hair here, just as an FYI. I don't know how I feel about it, but Kahori was a very fantastic character. I liked him a lot as well, and I don't know if the one girl is on the cover or back cover. I can't show you the back, because if she is on the back, it looks like this, and they're all covered. I will see if I can find... Okay, it's from the anime. No, I know where she's at. I think I actually do have a screenshot or a picture of her somewhere. But her name is Seiko, and she was a very wonderful character. And I think that she had a happy ending as well. I was thankful to see a chapter that was pretty much dedicated to her and her alone near the end of the series. That was very nice to see. I also liked another character who was very much a side character. His name, or his nickname, was Mighty. Mighty. That whole arc was fantastic. Risa's first impression of Mighty, the way she acted around him, the expressions that she made, I loved all of it. Mighty was a hoot, and I'm glad that things worked out for Mighty as well. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that was like a side character that doesn't have a cover. I did like one of the, can't mention them, but a character in the side story. Really liked them and how that was all brought together. I think that's all of the characters that Gramps, I just didn't like how that arc was really funny. Like, one of my favorite panels comes from a time with him on page, but I just didn't like how he was so set out to really just bring this downfall to Risa's relationship. Like, no. Please, please no, please no. And there were a few other characters, like very, very minor, like the brother, like Risa's brother was pretty great. And I liked Ōtani's mom, even though I felt bad for Ōtani when it's near exam season and she does something like, So I guess this would be a great time to go into some of my favorite panels. I don't know how many I have, so we'll just sort of go through this first one, and I don't have them all marked, so I do apologize. This first one, though, is from volume 1, and I felt it just really captured how these two act, and it's part of why it made me start shipping them very early on, right from the start, because I'm like, they're two peas in a pod, and they just don't even realize it. This next one, okay, so Risa says some really unhinged, hilarious things that are just so extreme. We're just like, I'm just gonna live my whole life without ever giving anybody a Valentine and then die alone. And I loved when during that scene, Ōtani was not trying to say that she wouldn't have that. And here's another good one to follow up with that. I refuse to ever do anything girly again. As long as I live, I'm through with it. I'll just let my ovaries shrivel up and stop producing whatever they produce. I'll sprout hair all over my body and die alone. And I love it. It's like, girl, where are you getting this from? What are you getting this from? It's another thing that adds the charm to the series of how ridiculous it is, but just how extreme our characters are. And I do feel it's relatable because I remember when things just sort of felt like the end of the world, same as this one. What if I never stop growing ever? What if I keep growing till the day I die as big as King Kong? Like, girl, no, that's not gonna happen. This one's sort of dark, but I did like how where Nobu's like, you're supposed to woo him, not get sued by him. That was a really great scene where I mean, some people were saying with Nobu, that's when they felt she's pushing too hard, and we do see an apology happen later on, but I really love that conversation that happens between them. Another one that I was trying to mention about the food as well. Yeah, I mean, there's no way a pickled radish could ever become a crab after all. This sounds so weird out of context, but in context, it makes a lot of sense. And that was when some really good things happened. What right here, my top 3 favorite panels, where Risa's like, but I can't take my top off. And that's when Nobu's like, I didn't mean to take your top off. I meant flaunt your inner boobies. And that's when they're off. Yeah, strut your stuff and show them the beautiful boobs within. Like, it's just so much. I'm sorry, I keep laughing, but another one, you know how old you are romantically speaking? In kindergarten. I love how Risa's like, well, pardon me for being a big kindergartner. Like, it's okay, Risa. It's okay. Be the big kindergarten that you are, girl. It's okay. I think this would be okay to share. Some things have happened. This is an Otome character. I'm so glad I wasn't drinking or eating anything at the time when this was happening, because we have this on one page. It's like, show me your beautiful smile again, Risa. We turn the page, and this is how Risa was smiling. That's more like it. This smile is what keeps me going, Risa. Oh my goodness, there's so many great expressions that Risa makes that is on point. I mean, the creator nailed it every single time. So I just like how surprised I was with this one. I feel like this next scene, I'm not sure if it's fully in order, but this is a great out of context one where she's like, sorry in advance if we died. Ōtani's like, no, whatever you do, just don't get us killed. It was another great scene, another really great overall thing that happens, though it sounds really funny out of context. I really like this panel, If He Failed, of how Risa looks. It goes back to, I think people have said it references Last Mask, and so I love it. This one, I know it may not seem like super special or super funny as the other ones, but if you go all the way to Nobu's boyfriend, he's like, I'm Brad Pitt. And I just thought that very interesting that we had a Brad Pitt reference mention. This is another scene, is in my top 3 favorites, and it's where Gramps is like, a short man is useless in a crisis, because y'all, the scene that's happening here was so outrageous. Ōtani has come over due to certain reasons. Risa's family all is very tall, okay? So Gramps here is like, you can't date a short guy because what if something happens, you've put your wallet on the tallest part of the shelf and Ōtani needs to get it for you because you can't walk or you can't move. And poor Ōtani, he's like, oh, I could get that. And he's struggling to go up to the tallest shelf and he's failing very hard. And that's where Gramps says this and Risa, the whole family's crying. Risa's like, I promise, Ōtani, I'll never put my wallet on the highest part of the shelf. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb. What in the world? Like, so poor Ōtani. I felt so bad for him. Like, it was, oh my goodness. I just felt so bad for him. Here's another really great panel where they had that same, where they're just, the vibing together, the two peas and a pod, where they have the same expression as they did earlier in the manga. And I really love that they brought it back in later volumes. This is, I should have put this scene prior. I think I uploaded my panel's a little bit weird, but when the dad's meeting Ōtani and seeing how small he is, but he's like, but you're so, and poor Ōtani felt like he gotta apologize. Short, I know I'm only 5'1" and a bit, and I'm really sorry about that, sir. Like, Ōtani, no, don't feel like you gotta apologize, buddy. Don't feel like you've got to apologize. It's okay. It's okay. This is a panel that shows some of the very funny expressions that the creator can do. And they're like, because we hate you, but their expressions are just so on point. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And here, my final one. It seems like a very serious moment, right? Once these golden days are gone, no matter how long you live, you'll never have another chance to ride around in a giant soup bowl. Poor Ōtani is like, he gets convinced, like, yeah, he's like, no, don't try and convince me that this is what I need to do or anything like that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, poor Ōtani. And so as you can see, or as I hope you can see, this manga was absolutely wonderful, a very much gem, a blast to read. I really hope that at some point that Viz will consider reprinting this series or giving us a 3-in-1 omnibus. It is one I would definitely know I would love to come back to again. I have heard that you can read this on the Viz app. If it's not on there, you can buy the volumes digitally. And I feel like if I ever want to come back to it and say my library system does not have it anymore, then I know where to go, because just so many times I would open up a volume after a busy day, or I'm just like, man, life is just sort of overwhelming. And I'm like, man, why did I put off reading once I start? Because I'm like, this is so fun. This is so great. I actually spent last night after I finished volume 17 looking for as much Love Calm merch as I could find. If you know anybody that's selling some, please don't hesitate to let me know, because I would like to have them outside of the pens I have of them. I would like to have them represented in sticker form, because yeah, I need to be able to share them in the pictures that I share on Instagram and other social media websites. And yeah, I love this. Again, huge shout out to everybody who recommended it to me, and I would recommend it to you, friends. If you're looking for something over the top humor, doesn't take itself seriously, and you just have a great time and just need some laughter in your life, this series will genuinely deliver. It is great. I would love to hear if you've read the series, if you've seen the anime, or you know, what is one of your favorite rom-coms that you deeply enjoy that always lifts your mood? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!